Lieutenant General Marcus Hale, a highly decorated Army leader, had finally taken a rare day off, something his schedule almost never allowed. At 48, Marcus carried himself with the kind of presence that commanded attention without a word. His neatly trimmed hair, streaked lightly with gray, and his tall, broad-shouldered frame reflected decades of discipline. Dressed simply in a navy tracksuit and athletic shoes, he blended easily into the weekend crowd at Crestview Mall. For over 25 years, Marcus had served his country with honor, leading soldiers through dangerous combat missions, overseeing high-level operations, and earning respect from every corner of the military. He had stood face-to-face with enemies abroad and negotiated peace under unimaginable pressure. But today wasn't about the battlefield. Today, he wanted nothing more than to replace his worn running shoes and maybe reward himself with a coffee afterward. As he browsed the shelves of a sleek sneaker store, he noticed a few sideways glances, different, unsettling. Still, he brushed them off and kept browsing. Unbeknownst to Marcus, Officer Daniel Crowder had just stepped into Crestview Mall. Crowder was in his late 30s, a mid-level cop known for his quick temper and his even quicker habit of reaching for his weapon. His file contained several complaints of racial profiling and unnecessary force, but most had been quietly dismissed or buried. Today, he was off duty, wearing faded jeans and a gray hoodie, but his badge and gun were clipped prominently to his belt, a silent reminder of the power he thought he carried everywhere. As he strolled past the sneaker shop, he noticed a few sideways glances, different, unsettling. Still, he brushed them off and kept browsing. As he strolled past the sneaker shop, he noticed a few sideways glances, different, unsettling. Still, he brushed them off and kept browsing. Marcus, oblivious to the scrutiny, picked out a sleek pair of running shoes and carried them to the register. The cashier, a young man with nervous eyes, smiled politely as Marcus handed over his card. As the machine processed, Marcus glanced up and noticed Crowder lingering near the entrance, staring. A ripple of unease brushed over him, but he ignored it, focusing instead on the mundane act of completing his purchase. When Marcus exited with his bag in hand, Crowder stepped directly into his path. "Excuse me, sir," he said, voice sharp and cold. "I need to ask you a few questions." Marcus arched an eyebrow. "Is there a problem, officer?" "You looked suspicious in there. Mind telling me what you were doing?" Crowder's eyes narrowed. "Let me see your ID." "Why?" Marcus asked, his tone steady but firm. "Have I committed a crime?" Crowder's jaw tightened. His fingers flexed against his weapon. It hit Marcus then. This wasn't about shoes. This wasn't about rules. It was about skin color. His chest tightened, but his voice remained calm. "Officer Crowder, I suggest you take a step back. I've done nothing wrong, and I refuse to be treated like a criminal for shopping." But Crowder wasn't listening. His prejudice had already clouded his judgment. Slowly, deliberately, he drew his gun and pointed it straight at Marcus. The mall froze. Shoppers gasped and scrambled back, clutching their children, ducking into nearby stores. Employees peeked from behind counters, wide-eyed with fear. A heavy silence blanketed the air, broken only by the sharp sound of Crowder's command. "Put the bag down," he barked. Marcus slowly lowered the shopping bag to the ground, his eyes locked on the trembling barrel aimed at his chest. Years of military training surged to the surface, urging him to stay composed, to measure every word. "Officer," he said evenly, "I am Lieutenant General Marcus Hale of the United States Army. I strongly advise you to lower your weapon." For a brief moment, Crowder faltered. The authority in Marcus's tone rattled him, but pride and prejudice dug their claws deeper. "Yeah, right," he sneered. "Get on the ground or what?" a voice cut in. A young man had stepped forward, his phone held high, recording the entire exchange. "She just told you he's a general, man. You're pointing a gun at a decorated hero." Crowder's face turned crimson. "Stay out of this," he roared. But it was too late. The crowd had turned against him. Dozens of phones were up, cameras rolling. Murmurs swelled. "Do you know who that is? What is he doing? This is insane." Marcus seized the moment. "Officer Crowder," he said, reading the badge, "you are seconds away from ending your own career. Stand down." Crowder's grip wavered, sweat trickling down his temple. Then mall security rushed forward, 2 guards skidding to a halt as they took in the scene. "What's going on here?" one demanded. "This officer just pulled a gun on me for no reason," Marcus said firmly. "I'd like to speak to your supervisor." Within minutes, the mall manager arrived, pale with shock, followed closely by a police captain who had been nearby. The captain, a black woman named Denise Harper, froze when her eyes fell on Marcus. "General Hale?" she gasped, hurrying forward. "Sir, what's happening here?" Marcus explained calmly, his words measured. Harper turned on Crowder, her expression dark with fury. "Holster your weapon, Officer Crowder, now!" Crowder hesitated, then finally shoved the gun back into its holster, his arrogance stripped bare under the weight of dozens of cameras.
In a brief statement, Marcus said this wasn't just about him, but about every person who has been profiled, threatened, or silenced without the protection of a title or rank. He urged that change must come and that prejudice can no longer be ignored. The incident became a rallying cry for accountability and justice, exposing the real cost of bias. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Unknown Stories for more.